Hi, my name is Bill Bradley. I'm an extreme endurance athlete. The topic of today's video is the door knockers. So as you probably heard, we had a giant fire up here in Santa Rosa area, Sonoma County. Thousands and thousands of acres burned. I think over 1,000 houses have burned. I heard 5% of Santa Rosa's houses burned down. Just an incredibly devastating fire. I mean, incredibly devastating. And it's like where I swim at, the club I swim at, there's, you know, it's in the area where a lot of people got affected. And I was swimming with one of my friends, and Janice, and afterwards I learned that her house had burned down, and she never really said much about it. And I talked to her a little bit about it, and you know, she's got a great attitude. And she was telling me that it was, you know, like, I don't know what, 3 in the morning or whatever it was, and her neighbor came over. How she found out about the fire was her neighbor came over and knocked on her door, right, and said, "There's a fire coming," right, you know. And he told her, he goes, "My guess is 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes, right? You got 10 minutes. And she went out and she looked out, you know, with her husband or whatever, and looked up, and you could just see this fire just coming down the mountain. And she said the wind was whipping, something awful. The neighbor, the thing he thought about was coming over there and knocking on her door. 10 minutes to go, and she looked at it and definitely agreed 10 minutes. But what I was so impressed with was this guy could have just saved himself, right? He could have just thought, oh, I'm going to gather up everything I can in the 10 minutes that we got and throw it in my car and drive away. But no, he ran down, and in these houses, I think they're a little bit spread out up there where she lived. And he went down and knocked on her door, you know, woke them up, however long that takes. And I just thought that was so awesome, man. And then you start hearing more and more stories about these door knockers who weren't the first thing they weren't thinking about was themselves. They were thinking about their neighbors. Some guy knocked on a whole bunch of doors, I guess. You know, the stories are starting to come out now. But I just think these door knockers, you know, are out there, and they're not just thinking about themselves. However long, if you got 10 minutes and it takes you 5 minutes to get your neighbor, now you got 5 minutes, you know. So when you know, that's not a lot of time. I mean, when Janice was telling the story, it was like they jumped in the car, they didn't even take the second car, and they just started driving down the road. I mean, there was no time. And then they think about all, you know, the other things they could have grabbed, like, you know, mostly the memory stuff, because everything else is replaceable. But that neighbor came over and beat on her door at 3 in the morning and let her know there was a fire roaring her way. I mean, these fire things, every one of them gets me really emotional. But I just love that story, man. The people up here, there's so many heroes up here. So many when this stuff hit, you know, when this stuff hits, these devastating things, that's when the heroes come out, these devastating events. And we got them up here. We got tons of them up here. So anyway, if you're interested, you can contact me by emailing me at epicbillbradley@gmail.com. Thank you very much.